All right. Hello and welcome to the Charles River Conservancy Parklands show. My name is Renata von Tscharner. I'm the president of the Charles River Conservancy, and we're going to talk about a very special place of the Charles River Parklands. We're going to talk about Magazine Beach. And we have with us somebody today who is very knowledgeable about magazine, and I would like us to welcome Cathie Zusy. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Renata.
And Cathie Zusy has been a resident of Cambridgeport for many years. She was a curator in an art museum for 20 years. And then she started a project, and I want you to tell us a bit more about the history of Cambridgeport, if this house could talk. And I think that kind of got you interested in the community in Magazine Beach. She's also on the board of the Cambridgeport Neighborhood Association, which has been very active in Magazine Beach. And so I'd love for you to tell us a little bit of how you moved from your art to history to Magazine Beach, and moving not just into history but into action on Magazine Beach.
Okay. I attended, on the invitation of Bill August, I attended a meeting of the Cambridgeport History Project in 2009. And we were trying to figure out how we could bring history alive in the neighborhood. And we were trying to think of a way that would be sort of enigmatic, that would involve the community so that they would own their history. And I just had this idea of having the neighborhood create the exhibit. For years and years and years, I've created exhibitions for communities and for museums, but I thought, well, what if we create a sign and then have everyone post it and create sort of an ephemeral exhibition for the neighborhood that the neighbors create themselves. So Ross Miller named this event. It was called If This House Could Talk, and we've been hosting it for 3 years now, from 2009, and it will be hosted again this year. This year I'm actually taking a year off from it. I'm taking a little sabbatical, but I'll be back next year. And Jay Shetterly, Gavin Cluspies from the Historical Society, and Kit Rollins from the Historic Commission will lead the event this year. But what it has done is it's brought the community together in a way that I've never seen any other sort of project do. It's gotten neighbors to talk to neighbors, neighbors to connect with their place, and to develop more of a sense of their history. And it was really, in the first year in 2009, we had like 70 signs. The next year we had 120. Last year over 140.
Yeah.
And from that energy, that community energy, I feel like we've sort of taken it, or I've been working with it, and moved some of it to Magazine Beach, where we're working as a community to revitalize this park, which, as you can see in the image here, it's a 15-acre park. It's the second largest park in all of Cambridge, only second in size to Danahee Park. And it's in this very densely populated area, and it's our opportunity to commune with nature and to commune with the Charles River. So working with the Neighborhood Association, we have, and with the Charles River Conservancy and the Riverside Boat Club, and with DCR, the Department of Conservation and Recreation, we have been working to do cleanups of Magazine Beach. We've hosted celebrations of Magazine Beach.
Well, we'll have pictures of that, and
yes,
that has been a wonderful way for the Conservancy work with you and the boat club and neighbors who come out to clean up, because if a park is clean, that invites more people in, and that's the beginning of a rejuvenation.
Absolutely, and it's. I was talking to Danielle, your director of volunteers, yesterday, and Novartis has been cleaning up Magazine Beach. Forest City called me the other day wanting to clean up Magazine Beach. MIT has been cleaning up Magazine Beach. And again, the Riverside Boat Club crew is amazing. They've been there every cleanup.
And they also do the tree pruning in the winter.
Yes,
yeah.
And also then university students from all over Boston have been involved thanks to your volunteer coordination.
Yeah, so I now want to move on here. Let's move back here. We're going to move back into history. You're looking at a picture which if it wouldn't say the old magazine, you wouldn't really know where we are.
Right, I would think we would be somewhere in Ireland or something. But this is a picture, it's in the Cambridge Public Library collection, and it's an image of the old Powder House, or it's actually not Powder House, Powder Magazine. We've been calling it Powder House in recent years, but it's officially called a Powder Magazine because it's a large granite structure to store gunpowder. And it was built in 1818 on Captain's Island, which is where the red dot is on this map. I mean, the map predates the Powder House. But Captain's Island, which you can see the arrow pointing to here, is this 5-acre island. It actually was an island during high tide only. And it was called Captain's Island because there was a captain, Daniel Patrick, who was a military militia commander during the Revolutionary War. He was one of 2 militia commanders in Cambridge, and he was given Captain's Island as sort of a gift for helping to protect Cambridge. But anyway, that Powder House, or Powder Magazine, later became a bathhouse. And the image that you're about to see is of that bathhouse, converted by the Olmsted's brothers in 1900. By this time, the city of Cambridge, in the 1880s and 90s, people in Cambridge started talking about the need for more parkland for the children in Cambridge, and more playground space and more area with nature. So the city hired the Olmsteds to develop a plan for Magazine Beach, and they turned the Charles River, this part of the Charles River, into a swimming beach. They created pathways, they did tree plantings. Many of the trees that are big at Magazine Beach now were planted by the Olmsteds, or are part of the Olmsted plan. And here you can see more pictures of people playing at the beach, swimming in the beach. As many as 60,000 people a summer would be bathing there. And it was most popular between 1900 and 1910. When the Charles River was dammed in 1910, the water became more stagnant. And it became a freshwater beach and less attractive to swimmers. But people were swimming in the beach until the 1950s. Yeah.
And it's interesting to see these images, because if you ask somebody today, have you ever swum in the Charles? They look at you and they're looking for your third eye, because they're wondering whether, asking that question, you must have been affected by that dirty water.
Right.
And we all are affected by the song of Love That Dirty Water. So this whole notion of swimming in the Charles is still relatively new, but it's one of the efforts of the Charles River Conservancy is to build on the wonderful work that has been done by the CRWA, by EPA, the MWRA, and the city of Cambridge to clean up the water. And actually $500 million have been spent on cleaning up the river. So to bring back swimming is a big vision that the Conservancy is working on. And we did some water testing the last 2 years. And so we are working on that. We already have our annual swim race. So your vision and your neighborhood's vision of restoring that bathhouse and that whole area, can come together with the historical opportunity that existed there, right. And that can be brought back again.
Absolutely. And something that I just learned reviewing some early newspaper articles was even before they turned Magazine Beach into a beach, in the 1880s, they had floating. Something that, as I've been hearing about swimming in the Charles.
Yeah, there's actually a float, I think, to the right there. That is a float with people on it. It's hard to see, but it's a float filled with people.
Yes, but even before that, they had a pool, a tank in the Charles that was 5 feet deep. You had to wade out. It was 3.5 feet in the water, because what I understand is we can't have people walking into the sediment of the Charles now if we want to get them into a swimming pool. And that's what they had in the 1880s in the Charles. They had something that was 3.5 feet into the water where people would swim in a tank that was in the water,
Yeah.
but not directly from the
Yeah.
shore.
I think another reason why that might have been is the tide was so powerful when the tide rushed in and rushed out, so it might have been safer for young swimmers or non-swimmers to be protected by a tank than to be swept out into Boston Harbor.
Oh, yes.
So that might have been a reason. But
Yes,
yeah.
I've heard that the current was so strong it was moved at 60 feet per minute. So there were 2 lifelines and 3 lifeguards at the beach to keep people safe, but there weren't very many casualties. But again, there were as many as 2,500 people would be swimming in the river on hot summer nights. You could swim in the river between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. and 9 p.m. on weekday nights. On Sundays, you could go in from 10 to 6.
Yeah, and there were lights there even, so that people could swim at night.
Right.
And I understand there even was a washing facility for the towels, because these towels must have gotten really bad. The water was really bad already, but you could have your towels washed at the beach.
Right. You could also rent a towel, and you could even rent a swimsuit.
Well, it's definitely was a very popular place, and there are people who remember it, and we gathered some stories of people who remember learning to swim in the Charles. A person who is among those is Fred Salvucci, the former Secretary of Transportation.
Oh, wow.
He learned to swim in the Charles, and he has wonderful stories. And so it's time we bring that back.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
you are now also with now this fact not being a beach anymore. They're now. We still have the bathhouse.
Right.
Tell us a story about this mystery bathhouse.
Okay, now I can't say that it looks like much yet. You've got to have imagination when you look at the Powder House, but look at those beautiful granite blocks. It's got tremendous potential. We don't know what we're working to do with the Cambridgeport Neighborhood Association is to close the envelope of the bathhouse now to prevent future decay. So our first priority is to raise funds to do, first to do a historic structure report. We need to do a study of the bathhouse. And historians Marilyn Wellens and Nina Cohen have already begun the work for that, the background work. And they're making amazing progress. And the work that they're doing will inform not only how we restore the Powder House or Powder Magazine, but how we interpret the whole site at Captain's Island and at Magazine Beach. But in the fall, we were fortunate enough, with the support of the Cambridge Historic Commission and the City Council, and to be allocated $25,000 of Community Preservation Act funding.
And did the state rep play a role in that? I can imagine Marty Walls played a role in that as well.
Well, she has been, I feel like, our fairy godmother on this project. She has been extraordinarily helpful and amazing advocate for work at improving Magazine Beach. And I think it's in part thanks to Marty Waltz's support and Anthony Petroselli's report.
He's the state senator.
Yes,
yeah.
and also Henrietta Davis and again the City Council. And even and Stuart Dash from the City of Cambridge and the Planning
Community
Department.
Development,
They're all excited about the prospect of revitalizing this area. And anyway, we're awaiting word from DCR. We should be hearing any day as to whether they will match our $25,000 2-to-1.
Wonderful.
We're hopeful.
Good. So this money you got from the Community Preservation Act helps to stabilize the building and also to do a historic survey.
Yeah, well, to do the historic structure report, and then also to begin to pay for. We need to re-roof the Powder Magazine, and we need to reslate it. Again, we want to make sure that no more water is getting into the envelope of this 1818 historic structure. And then there'll be more money to raise and much more work to do. We'll see in the coming images. I just want you to imagine here sitting overlooking the Charles at Magazine Beach. again, I think at this point you've got to have a lot of imagination to really think about this as being a beautiful spot, but it's got the potential, and I know that we'll get there. Mm-hmm. There's this beautiful granite terrace where I've imagined, and others too, have tables and chairs. Maybe one day you'll be able to sit there, drink a lemonade, an iced tea, eat some ice cream, like an ice cream cone, and watch the sunset as you're looking west at the Charles.
Yeah. So you started to mobilize the neighborhood with, based on all your historic work, if this house could talk, and you started to raise money to stabilize and to survey, have other people start to write the history. But you've done also, you mobilize people in a different sense as well. So tell us about your events that you're having at Magazine Beach.
Well, we organized, and there's one, I should step back for a moment. There's one other thing, two other people that I must mention, and they are Paul Laszlo and Masako Ikegama. In 2009, they did a study. They were both Harvard graduate students. Masako was at the design school, and
he was at the business school.
Yeah. And actually, I think you may have told me about them along with Bill August.
Yeah.
But they did this very thorough study of how to revitalize Magazine Beach, and we've been using their graduate study as really a roadmap for how we proceed. Anyway, we've organized over 5 cleanups since November of 2010, and here's 2 college students from the area helping us to dig this huge, I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's a huge root out from going into the terrace. And I should mention, this whole project began because Bill August, the president of the Neighborhood Association, was running by the Powder magazine and was really disturbed by seeing the roots, the plants growing into the foundation of the magazine, and said, well, why don't we do something about it? So we organized a cleanup working with you, the Charles River Conservancy, and with the Riverside Boat Club. And I was just amazed. We had about 40 people at that first cleanup. And ever since, we've had about 40 people turning up, 40 to 50 people at each of these cleanups. We've raked leaves, we've pruned trees, we've cut back growth, we've planted bulbs. We've done tremendous good.
Yeah, and what we feel with volunteer events, once people start working on a location, they want to come back, they love it so much, they fall in love with it. It starts a process. We see that in Herder Park, we see that all along the Charles, and I'm delighted you took the lead, the initiative in Magazine Beach to start that rejuvenation. That's really a wonderful part. And so there is already a phase 1, because there is a partnership, a public partnership, and I think we have some images of that here, where the city of Cambridge and the DCR have worked together. So this phase 1 is completed, and in a way now a phase 2 is due.
Yes, the city of Cambridge worked with DCR and funded, they gave $1.5 million towards the restoration of the ball fields. There are soccer fields there, there's exercise equipment, there are picnic spots. There are drainage areas, and they put in sort of drainage for the soccer fields and the baseball fields too. And there was some restoration work done along the riverbank itself. So now, I mean, here you can see the ball field, the Little League field, and the next image I think is of some soccer players, maybe. But the fields, the city of Cambridge has the first right to use of the fields during the school year, and then DCR leagues use it during the summertime. But already I'm impressed with how heavily the park is used.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's why the city of Cambridge helped, because they wanted to make sure that their residents can use those parks and that the parks are in good shape. So I think that has been a wonderful partnership.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. And something we don't have an image of it. It's a little bit absurd. Is there's the pool. I'm sorry, I didn't provide the image. The swimming pool at Magazine Beach has been there since or there was a swimming pool built in the 1950s, and I think the current one was probably built later. But hundreds of thousands of of children swim and learn to swim in that swimming pool every summer. So that continues to be a big attraction at Magazine Beach. And DCR and DOT are just completing the new pedestrian footbridge, which will make getting
safer,
to the
much safer. Well, let's now move a little bit more into the future, and you enrolled students to kind of envision of how they see the Parklands, and now you're also enrolling the views of adults. So tell us of how this drawing came about.
This is, there's an amazing art teacher at the Morse School on Granite Street, right beside Magazine Beach. And I asked her if she would be willing to work with her students on creating maps and drawings of their dreams for Magazine Beach. And these are just a few of the images that her students produce. This one includes kayaking. This one, this student wanted there to be a candy, what does it say?
My dream of Magazine Beach is to clean it up and have it a roller coaster. All right, and lemonade. Yeah, so big visions. This is, but you know, these children, they probably, after they've done these envisioning drawings, they will go back to the park and they will see it in a different way. I mean, that triggers something.
Absolutely, and I think Magazine Beach will become the place we want it to become as we use our imaginations and as we envision that it becomes a beautiful, maybe a little funky, urban park, and our connection with the Charles River. I think of it as our backyard.
Yeah. So this shows of how people can give their input. Tell us how you soliciting input and what you hope to get out of that.
Well, they're actually in the email address here, or it's a website. The blog address is actually, it's wordpress.com. It's Magazine Beach wordpress.com.
Right.
Not WorldPress, but WordPress. On that site, which I'll be updating later this week, is a survey, and we're very eager for users of Magazine Beach, abutters, business abutters, residential abutters, nonprofit abutters, to give us their dreams for Magazine Beach. We want to know what they feel the priorities should be in improving the area, whether they feel safe there, what they envision the Powder Magazine, its new use will become. Any great ideas. It's an open-ended survey, and we want your feedback.
Wonderful. Well, I think this project is very exciting because it's a very important piece of history. And the way you organized a lot of people and you get their input, you get the children involved, involving the city of Cambridge, DCR. I think this is really a model of how rejuvenation should be done along the Charles. And I want to thank you for all the work you've done to make that happen. And because it's only because of citizens like you that these things happen. So this is wonderful.
Well, I couldn't have done it without your support, Renata. You and the Charles River Conservancy have been fantastic, and I've just been moved by how people want to contribute to this project. There's momentum now, and I think we're going to make history.
Great. Well, you made history already, and I want to thank you for being on the program today. This program will be on YouTube if you go to the Charles River Conservancy's website, and there you also find descriptions about our other efforts of if you want to volunteer for one of these events, or you want to learn more about our swimming initiative, or the skate park, or making the path along the Charles easier to get along, the bridge renovations, all kind of other efforts in the Conservancy's work. But I want to thank you today, and looking forward to working with you to make Magazine Beach a really great place. Thank you.
Thank you so much.